Have you ever noticed that when you're walking down the street and you make eye contact with someone and that someone is someone you know, someone you're familiar with, give them a nod up, maybe a smile, and you're focusing your eyes on their eyes. You're smiling with your eyes. But if you don't know that person, you drop your head, break the eye contact. You give them the courtesy, I saw you nod, but you don't really know what to do. You're uncomfortable in that moment because, that's a stranger. And I just want to let you know I saw you, and then I'm going to go on my merry way. This isn't nonverbal communication. Welcome to Covering HOAs with One Hot Mic. So I've been asked a ton of times, why? Why a podcast? Why a podcast that is focused on insurance for community associations? Not so sexy, right? But I think there's a lot that we can talk about in this environment with this kind of opportunity to exchange ideas in a new world, in a new way that we have not really dove into with respect to insurance. Now, there's a couple of consistent podcasts. Shout out to Mike and Kara for HOA Pros, over 200 episodes now. Great job. But it is generalized, and it's a great listen. If you have the time, check them out. But it's generalized. It's not specific to the questions that are really, really struggling, or our homeowners, our condo owners, our single family homeowners are struggling with today because of the market, because of the way the insurance market is reacting to what was initially in California, natural disasters like wildfires, in Florida, natural disasters like hurricanes and other natural disasters across the country. The market has really taken this opportunity to what we call harden, meaning the insurance carriers are saying, look, we want to avoid as much risk as we can, as much damage as we can in the future. So we're going to be really proactive about what we take. And the story, or the message of what the insurance carrier is doing, is getting jumbled up in the news and in whatever we want to read or hear on the internet, to say that it's the wicked insurance company that is dropping our policies or raising our rates. So why a podcast? Because we can talk about that stuff, and I can help, given that I have more than 25 years of experience writing insurance for community associations. I can help everybody understand the situation and understand how to get through it. And then there'll be other things that we're going to talk about as well, not just the fire insurance problem in California or hurricanes in Florida. We're going to talk about all aspects of community associations and how they relate to insurance. Our goal here is to deliver a message to a community manager that they can share with their board of directors and help everybody get on the same page and understand what's going on with respect to insurance. It isn't necessarily an easy task, because we're talking about insurance, and it's not exactly the sexiest thing on the planet, but it's an important thing. And understanding the why behind insurance, understanding the why we buy it behind insurance, is one critical step into helping us accept that it is a really good idea, and then understand the things that change in the market that affect us. So obviously we'll be talking about market conditions, but we'll also be talking about events in the industry, whether they are regional, local, I'm in Southern California, or they are national events, or regional events in different states. We'll be discussing those, chatting about those. We'll be announcing them. We'll be debriefing them, and hopefully enticing others to join us at the next event, because they really are incredibly valuable. Very common that a community association gets, or rather more specifically, a board of directors gets ridiculed in the media, in or on some social platform. The big culprit, if you will, next door, is a common place for boards to be, lack of a better term, beaten up. You see stories, believe me, I've seen them, that are really disappointing about how an insurance company might treat an insured, or how a board of directors is treating a homeowner. Those stories do exist, and they shouldn't, but they do. We need to introduce more positive stuff to quiet down all the negative. Because in the HOA industry, and I say HOA, I mean common interest developments, condominium associations, single family home communities, co-ops, townhouses, anything that is a number of owners, a number of members in one community. I use HOA because that's a pretty general term in California, but in other parts of the country, HOA is very specific. Homeowners Association, it's a homeowners community. So I apologize, but I'm going to probably slip back into HOA every now and then. Try to use common interest development, or CID, most often. The concept or the perspective that all CID communities and their boards are bad is not true. In 2024, from a survey, the Foundation for Community Association Research, you can find them at foundation.caionline.org. There's a survey, a satisfaction survey. How satisfied are you with overall services across regions and communities? 86% of respondents are on friendly terms with their board of directors. And roughly 90% of respondents said their community they're in good relationships with their community. That's a really important thing to understand. The board of directors is just a volunteer group. And again, yes, there are some that are a little power hungry. There's no lie there. Things can be done when those situations do arise. But by and large, a board of directors is a good thing for a community. And people like living in communities. So to generalize every community everywhere, or every board everywhere, and slap them into some social media post, or get the news to run a report that probably doesn't have every single fact shared, is just unfair. And we need to be nicer to the people who are volunteering their time to operate this multi-million-dollar not-for-profit corporation. It's not their skill set most of the time. It's because there needs to be a board of directors, and these people are willing to put their time in. And if you do have something to say, or you do have something you want to say, go to a board meeting. Talk to them. You have an opportunity. Have a relationship with the board of directors so they know what you need. Apathy is the cancer of a community. We all want what we want, but we're not willing necessarily to do enough to get it. We want our communities to be run smoothly. We don't want our assessments to go up. We don't want there to be trash in the park. Great. If you see it, fix it. Talk about it. Go to the board of directors and ask them. Have a cordial discussion, open discussion on the what's and whys. And your board is going to address it as they need to address it. That is with management's input. That is with potentially legal counsel's input. It doesn't mean a decision is going to be made or can be made on the spot. It's just not possible. But if you go to the meeting and you listen to the board and what their decisions are, you'll know more about the community than, well, pretty much anybody else, because board meetings are scarcely attended. You'll be more informed on what's going on so that when something happens, like, for example, a big increase in the insurance premium, you won't be the one saying, hey, why didn't you tell me about this? Board of directors talked about it at their board meeting that nobody attended. You want to be in the know? You got to go. Or as Aaron Sorkin wrote, decisions are made by those who show up. So, what does the real insurance market look like? It looks like a disaster. That's not hyperbole. That's not anything less than the truth. It looks awful. Believe it or not, it's getting better. But it's not getting better at a pace that we as consumers would like to see. Are we going to go back to where we were 5 years ago? No chance. We're not going back to a place where properties are underinsured because they're undervalued, and they're undervalued because we want to keep premium down. Insurance carriers have been beat up with claims. The cost of claims, the cost of reconstruction, the cost of administering, the cost of liability claims all have gone up. And yet we have been unable to keep pace with the payout needs by collecting more premium. Insurance companies do a lot of investing of premium as well. I don't know the exact facts. I've heard numbers thrown around. I'm not going to throw them out here because I got nothing to back them up. But the bottom line is the insurance companies do a lot of investing, and they earn some money through that investment. Right now, they're not getting as much from that return. So they're relying on the premiums to keep their business afloat. It's a business. Insurance is a business. There's the elephant in the room. Insurance companies are running a business for profit to make money for their shareholders. And if they can't make money, if they can't cover the costs of claims with premium, they're not going to write insurance. And that's why these carriers are doing what they're doing. That's why these carriers are leaving the state, discontinuing coverage. They're not spitefully saying, I don't like you because you live here. They're saying, I don't have the means of pricing my product at a level that I want to price it at in order for me to have a sustainable business model. And that goes down to what the states and how the states control the way an insurance company can price their product. In California, it's driven by a whole spider web of things. But bottom line is the Department of Insurance decides what an insurance company can charge, what their rate is going to be. An insurance carrier goes to the Department of Insurance and says, I would like to raise my rate by 6%. And that goes into this process, and it takes 18 months to 2 years for the Department of Insurance, and it's, again, spider web of people, hands and pockets, 18 months to 2 years before the department gets back to the carrier and says, well, I don't want to give you 6. We're going to give you 2. Well, it's 2 years down the road. I don't need 6 anymore. Now I need 10. But I just got 2. So I'm going to ask for another 6. And 2 years later, I'm going to get 2. I haven't even kept up with inflation, let alone all the other things that are going on within the market and the costs that we're incurring. So that's why you're seeing premiums jump. It's not, well, I've been with that carrier for 30 years and now and I've never had a claim. Here's the real fact. When you paid premium on January 1st, let's say your policy is effective January 1st. When you pay premium on January 1st, you are paying premium for your exposure or the carrier's exposure to loss that you might incur for a year. Not for a lifetime, for a year. And then at the end of that term, you get renewed. And the carrier says, this is what I need to collect for a year. Well, the carriers have been saying that this is what I can collect for this year. But now I can't collect what I need to collect for the next year. So I'm not going to write coverage at all because I can't operate a business if I can't get the revenue. That's why an insurance company discontinues coverage. Now, there's also the exposure risks. I don't want to write a risk that is in a zone that could potentially burn in a wildfire. The thought of what areas could possibly be vulnerable to a wildfire, that changed in January when when the Palisades and the Eden fire occurred in Los Angeles area, because they showed us that with the right conditions, a property that is nowhere near a open space or a brush area is actually exposed to a wildfire, because the right conditions and the right weather and 100-mile-an-hour winds can propagate a fire to whichever way, whatever direction the wind will blow. So it's important to really kind of wrap our heads around the fact that it is a business and it's evolving. There's things that are happening in Sacramento. There's things that are happening in your local or state governments. My advice, get involved. Go to a legislative action committee within your state. In California, it's the California Legislative Action Committee, or CLAC. Go to your legislative action committee and go to your legislative action committee and see what is being done. See what people are working on. Community Associations Institute, CAI, CAIonline.org, fantastic resource. But in your local committees, your local advocacies, you will be able to sign up for a newsletter to get the information. You will receive announcements, grassroots campaigns when that action committee is looking to get people in front of their state representatives, their assembly people, to advise the politician on what you are going to experience and what is going through the state legislation that is affecting you. The legislative committees, they put together a slate of things that are going to be discussed at whatever session of the state government, and then they draw positions using experts in the industry, such as insurance people, attorneys, and homeowners. And it's your voice, the homeowner, that is critical, because you're the constituent. You're the one that's going to tell the member how to vote, because you're the one who's going to vote them, re-elect them when the time comes. If you're worried about all of this stuff that's going on in the insurance world, get involved. Again, decisions are made by those who show up. If you don't vote, if you don't get involved, how can you complain? Well, you can, but really, not so many people are going to listen. Recent events. CAI, Orange County Chapter, California, hosted their annual seminar and expo. It was a smash hit. There were some fantastic speakers with just imparting knowledge that you can get in one day in a lot of places, rather than traveling all over the joint or trying to read up on something and learn yourself. You can learn from the experts who are going to give you an hour's worth of education, and you're going to walk out saying, all right, great, I got a couple of nuggets from that. One of those speakers discussed the state of the market and what's going on. There was another presentation about electrical panels and what insurance companies are doing about proactively looking at risk. The point is, it's a really good opportunity. Stuff like that is a really good opportunity. Again, CAI and your local chapter, incredible resources for educating so that you can be in the know. And that leads to another point, or a piece of advice that I'm stealing from John Mayer, guitar player, musician, songwriter. But I listened to an interview that he did on the Smartless podcast, Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes. But he was talking to the hosts. I just decided, not paraphrasing, by the way, I'm not quoting. I decided to be the best at whatever it is I'm doing, because that helped me go to work and really kind of enjoy it, even though I was washing dishes or waiting tables or potentially being the manager. I worked my way up to manager, he said. But I decided to be the best at it because it's so much easier than being frustrated and hating where you're going. To the community managers that we have, You are all very important people. Very important people in this process. Incredibly important. Almost the keystone to what we do. And I know rephrase. I don't know because I've never been a community manager, but I feel like I'm close on this. It's a thankless job. It's a difficult job to really, really engage yourself in and enjoy, because 9 times out of 10, the only thing you're dealing with is somebody complaining about something. It's not somebody that calls and says, hey, I just want you to know, I think you did a great job. I think you did a great job on that meeting last night. I know it got a little rough. I think you did fantastic. So focus on trying to just do your best, be your best, enjoy what you're doing, be the best at what you're doing today, because it will improve what you get out of what you are doing today. And to that end, when we talk about complimenting someone, do it. If you see something that you liked or you felt good about that somebody did and you said, man, that was really nice, or man, you did a really good job, tell them. You know how good that feels? Tell them that they did a good job. It feels really good when you put yourself out there trying to control things for other people and somebody says, I like what you did. You did a good job. Share that. September is Suicide Awareness Month. This is going to get a little deep. Sorry. A lot of us have experience with people, friends, family that have struggled with the emotions that lead someone down a path to a permanent end to a temporary problem. We don't know what anybody is dealing with at any time of any day. But what we can do is be nice. We can be kind. It's easy. It's easy when you're walking down the street and you make eye contact with a stranger to nod up, smile with your eyes, say hi, ask them how their day's going. How you doing? You might find out that that's the thing they needed to hear. That was the friendly embrace they needed to feel at that moment in that day that changed their day and potentially changed their life. So next time you're walking down the street, make a friend out of a stranger. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next time on Covering HOAs with One Hot Mic.